Okay, welcome. This is a class that's specifically designed to aid us in a really good night's sleep. So all of the shapes and positions that we'll be doing in this class, you can do from the comfort of your own bed if you'd like, or you can set yourself up on the floor. All of the positions will be floor-based, so we won't be doing any standing. So the invitation is to create a space that's really comfortable, really nurturing. You might even pour yourself a cup of tea, light some incense or light some candles. And we'll need a few props for today's practice as well. So I've got some pretty classic yoga props here, but you should be able to make do with things that you have at home. So this is a bolster, and if you don't have one of these, you can make one with a pillow from your own bed, maybe even wrapping a towel or a blanket around the pillow, or you can simply roll a blanket into a cylindrical shape like this, and it will serve the same purpose. I've also got a couple of extra cushions nearby, so it's good to have a little more than you might need, just in case. This practice is really about supporting the bones of the body so that you can really allow the muscles to completely relax. So our first position will be a supported child's pose. So for this one, I'm going to take my bolster out in front of me, starting in a kneeling position with the big toes together and the knees out wide. So you can use the pillow or cushion from your bed. You could take another couple of cushions and prop up the end of the bolster, bring that up on a little bit of height so you've got an incline. And really simply from here, we're just folding forward, bringing the torso to rest on whatever support you have there. And you can have your head turned to one side, or you can have your forehead resting down. So it's really about fine-tuning and finding the place and position that's most comfortable for you. So once you've set yourself up, allow a minute initially just to feel it out, make any adjustments to your position. If you notice that there are any parts of your body that are still holding you in place, then you might bring an extra couple of cushions to support those parts of the body. So if you find that your heels and your bottom don't comfortably meet each other, you could place a rolled up blanket or a cushion between your heels and your buttocks. And once you've found your place in the pose, then you can just bring your attention to how it feels. We're not looking for any intense sensations here, or any intense stretching. We're looking for something that's really subtle, really gentle, and feels more like a gentle opening. So becoming aware of how your body feels as you hold the shape, noticing places that you may be holding tension, and then just guiding yourself into releasing that. And you can use the breath in that process. So just beginning to notice your breathing. And maybe shifting the breath down into the abdomen, making it a little deeper, a little more full. And just by moving the breath down into the belly, begin to activate and stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that guides us into deeper states of rest, into healing and regeneration all out throughout the body. We're about halfway through our time in the supported child's pose. So if you've had your head turned to one side, then you might like to turn your head the opposite direction just to keep some balance and that stretch through the neck. Breathing deeply into the belly. And if you're doing this practice at the end of a long day or a busy day, you might find that the mind is quite active and still quite busy. And that's perfectly normal, that's perfectly okay. There's a few tools that we can use to help the mind slow down and calm down, and one of those is just that simple awareness of breath. And each time you notice that your mind has become distracted, without getting frustrated or disappointed, you can just bring your attention back to your breath. And each time you do that, you're strengthening your capacity to be present, to be mindful. Another way we can help the mind focus a little more on one thing, in this case the breath, is to add a mental counting to the breath. And so we'll do that for our last 10 breaths in child's pose. Each time you breathe in and breathe out, you can count up. So breathing in, 1, breathing out, 1, breathing in, 2, and breathing out, 2. And continuing in this way all the way to 10. And then when you reach 10, you can turn your head back to center, start to put some pressure down through your hands, lifting your head, lifting your torso up, and walking the hands in. And just making your way to a neutral seated position. So your legs can extend out in front, or you can sit with your legs crossed. And we just take a moment between each of the positions to center ourselves, allow space to notice the effects of the position. So noticing how you feel physically, maybe a little more spacious through the area of the groin or the lower back. Maybe you're just noticing that you feel a little softer, a little more relaxed, a little less tense. Maybe the mind is starting to slow down a little. So next position, we'll be doing what's called a supported deer pose. So this is a combination of a twist and a forward fold. So again, using your large cushion or your bolster, turning it around so it's moving out horizontally away from your left hip. And if you're sitting with your legs crossed, you can keep your left leg crossed in. If you're starting with your legs straight, just bring your left heel in towards your groin inside the right leg. And then we're going to take the right leg, right heel to the outside of the right hip. Bringing the foot flat on the floor or on the bed. And just making sure that this cushion, this bolster is pulled in nice and close to the left hip. Then again, you have the option to bring a bit more height. So you're kind of working on bringing the support up to meet your body. So this will all depend on how open you are through your body on any given day. So before we move into the twist, we want to make sure that the spine's in a state of extension. So first, see if you can find that extension by lifting the top of your head up toward the ceiling, maybe even using an in-breath to create a bit more space. Then as you breathe out, you can twist your torso to the left, bring your hands to the floor. And then from there, walk the hands forward either side of your cushion, of your support, and bring your torso down to rest. Making sure that the head is also supported here as well. And if you're finding that the support is too low, then you can always prop yourself up, the cushion underneath or on top, to make this more comfortable. And letting the arms relax down, letting go of any pulling or gripping in the shoulders. Taking a scan through the body, seeing if there's any other place where your body needs support. And then maybe getting a little bit curious about what's happening in the body, in the muscles. And feeling into the pose. You might find it comforting to notice the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor and just feeling into that pressure, a sense of the body being held and supported. So you might use these bodily sensations to focus your attention and maintain a present moment awareness. Or you might use the flow of breath. And if you found that counting the breath was really helpful for you, then you're welcome to use that throughout the rest of the practice. So noticing which techniques are best for you today. If you're new to a restorative practice, you might find it quite challenging to be still, to stay in this one position for an extended period of time. And that's quite common. But just know that this practice, like any practice, is just that. It's a practice, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. Sometimes we get ourselves so tied up and wound up in knots that it takes some time to decompress, to relax, and to enjoy this process of letting go, getting still and quiet. So we'll just take 10 more breaths. And then taking your attention into the palms of your hands and the contact with the hands and the floor, increasing the pressure there, lifting the head, rolling shoulders back and lifting the torso up as you walk your hands back in towards your body. And gently untwisting, finding a neutral position for your spine. And your legs can straighten back up if you need to, if you've lost a little bit of circulation there. Or you can just cross the legs. Pause for a moment here, notice and feel. Maybe a few deeper breaths in and out through the nose. Maybe even a deep breath in through the nose and a sigh out through the mouth. And then we get ready to do the same on the other side. So whatever you had set up for yourself on the left side, you can just take that over to the right. And keeping in mind that the right and left sides of the body are rarely the same. So just being prepared to adjust your props and what you have in the case of one side being a little bit tighter. So this time the right leg is going to stay inside the left thigh, right foot into the left thigh, and your left foot is going to turn out to the outside of your left hip. And then again, using an inhale, extending up nice and tall through the spine before turning, twisting to the right and bringing the hands to the floor, then making your way down. And even if one of your arms isn't quite resting fully on the ground, then you can use whatever you have close by to support that arm. So this practice isn't about pushing ourselves and jamming ourselves into deep stretches. It's more of a practice of allowing. So we just allow our body to lead the way. And the only goal here is relaxing. And noticing how this feels on the right side, if there's any difference, right and left. See if you're able to let go a little more, soften a little more, and release the weight of your body. Coming back to whatever technique works best for you to keep your mind in this moment. If we allow ourselves and our minds to go back into the day or the week that's been, or the days that are to come, tasks that lay ahead, we begin to create tension in the mind. And when there's tension in the mind, we begin creating tension in the body. And in this way, we're kind of working against ourselves. So as soon as you notice that your mind's starting to get busy, move into thinking mode, and see if you can come back into feeling mode. Feel your body, feel your breath. And just reminding yourself that all of those things, all of those thoughts can be attended to once you've finished this practice, once you've moved outside of this time that's just for you. Coming to our last 10 breaths, you might start to make the breath a little deeper. Feeling into the hands, gently pressing down, beginning to move up and out of the twist, out of the fold, and coming back to center. Either extending the legs out in front or just staying as you are. A couple of deep breaths through the nose or out through the mouth. And then into our last position of the class, which is going to be a supported raised legs position. So if you have a wall close by, then you can do legs up the wall. Otherwise, you can bring a cushion underneath your lower back and use that as a little bit of leverage for your raised legs position. And we won't be there for too long, but if you do have a wall for legs up the wall, then you might like to stay a little bit longer in that position. So if you're using a cushion, bring it right underneath or right behind your buttocks. Slowly bring yourself down and across that cushion. Bring the head and the shoulders down to the floor or to the bed. Then we'll bring the knees into the chest, give them a little bit of a squeeze, tilting the pelvis a little up toward the ceiling. And from there, extending the legs up straight. You can keep your hands on your legs if that feels supportive, or you can just bring them down beside the body, a comfortable width from you. So any variation of a raised legs position will be suitable here. So perhaps you have a headboard where you can rest your ankles on, or maybe you're doing this in the lounge and there's a couch nearby that you can kick your legs up onto. So feel free to modify as much as you'd like in this practice. Noticing how it feels. Aware of the sensations in your body and the movement of breath. few more breaths. If you'd like, you can bring a little movement to the ankles, flexing and extending, or maybe rotating the feet. Bringing the knees into the chest. Gentle squeeze in, and if you'd like, you can move the cushion out from underneath and just take a little rock from side to side. So the back rocking from side to side. And then we make our way into the final resting position. So for this one, Shavasana, I'm going to place a bolster right underneath my legs. Cover myself with a blanket so that I can stay nice and warm. And I'll even use my little weighted cushion over my pelvis. This really helps with the grounding down through the lower back and a sense of stability. Additional props you could use here might be a little eye mask or an eye cushion, or even just a piece of fabric over the eyes. And once you feel yourself settle in, bring your attention once more to your breathing. We'll activate a conscious breath. Breathing a little more deeply, a little more fully. Full breath in from the belly up to the chest. And full breath all the way out. I'm bringing in a count now. Take your next inhale for a count of 4. And exhale for a count of 4. Breathe in for 4. And out for 4. In for 4. Out for 4. And just continue with this ratio, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 4. Counting mentally. After a couple more rounds with this ratio, if you feel comfortable to extend the length of your exhalation, then you can extend it to a count of 5 or a count of 6. But if that doesn't feel right for you, if that feels strained or challenging, then just stay with the 4-4 breath. Taking 10 more rounds of breath in this way. Bring all the systems of the body into balance, into harmony. for a deeply restful and nourishing sleep.